Hi everyone! Это английский без Верещагиной. В ЕГЭ есть замечательный раздел чтения. Он состоит из 3 частей. За первую часть можно получить 7 баллов, за вторую, о которой мы сегодня будем говорить, можно получить 6, и за третью, которая убийственно сложная, можно получить 7. Вторая часть заявлена как средняя сложность, но если вы хорошо начитаны, то это будет достаточно легкое задание для вас. Вам дается текст, в тексте есть пробелы, в пробелы нужно ставить фразы, одна фраза лишняя. So how do you approach this particular task? I don't look at the phrases yet. I just look at what is at the end. And at the end we have interregents. The first thing I want to ask is where. Because the end of the sentence is the phrase. So it would be something like humans were able to move into regions where it was colder, warmer, what have you, right? So that is my original thought. So I'm looking for where, right? You can see in A where there is no real practical need for it. Now, if you have a pronoun, that is quite helpful because you can immediately connect pronoun to a noun and see if it actually fits. By putting on a skin, humans were able to move into regions where there is no real practical need for it. For what? For moving? For putting on a skin? It doesn't make any sense, okay? By putting on a skin, they were able to move somewhere where they didn't need a skin. So it's obviously not it. The second where is in D, where they otherwise would have been unable to cope with the climate. Well, this makes more sense, you know. By wearing warmer clothes, you can move somewhere where it's colder. Right, I did not read the whole thing. I did not start with clothing as a distinctly human artifact. And I don't really recommend that, so just skim afterwards to see if this is something that actually fits. Proofread, so to speak. Okay. Next one. You have thus clothing also developed in countries, and my immediate reaction is where. So either where those countries are, or you know, some kind of specific about that. Another where is obviously A, where there is no real practical need for it. Thus, clothing also developed in countries where there is no real practical need for it. For what? For clothing. Just skim quickly. An example of this use of clothing can be seen among the Eskimos and other people who live with extreme cold. However, that is the change of direction. So this paragraph is not talking about the practical need of clothes, right? It's changing the direction. However, clothing was not only used for protection, but has also been a means of displaying one's status. So there's no practical need for it. Okay, goody. Moving on, clothing tells us many things about the wearer. It can be used to indicate. Now, this section is extremely short, so you can read the whole thing. It can be used to indicate my immediate reaction is what? What does it indicate? So we're looking at what. And there's no what or that, but there's whether. Okay, weather means if, by the way. It's not weather like pagoda, but weather like if. So it can be used to indicate whether a person is a member of a particular group or organization. All right, makes sense. Here we have once again the end of the sentence. Now this task is extremely easy because everything so far has been at the end. A trickier situation is when you have a phrase in the middle of a sentence. Now there you have to look at both sides. It is a rare businessman, obvious question who, and you have a who in C, right? So who doesn't feel the need to wear a suit and a tie, very, very businesslike. And here you go. You don't have to read the whole thing. You just have to understand how sentences work. Okay. the significance of what we wear is becoming more important. Now, my first reaction is as. More important as we do something, okay? There have been cases on Holiday Island, and the reason why I have so much highlighted is because this particular part was extremely difficult for students. Most students answered with the wrong answer. So we have on holiday islands, we have locals, we have foreign visitors. So the sentence is obviously talking about cultures coming together. It's F as the cultures of the world mix. Okay. This one, once again, at the end of the sentence, yeah, everything's at the end. Actually, the signals given by clothing is worn by men and women have decreased. And here is anyone's guess. The only two that's left are because sentences. So here you just have to make sense. Worn by men and women. Women are very comfortable wearing jeans because more people started to follow fashion. Because many women now wear what were once men's clothes. There you have it. It's E. Okay, so what are the strategies for this particular task? So it's задание номер 11, or the second part of the reading section. First of all, don't read the whole sentence. Look at the sentence that you need to complete. If it's at the end, well, you're in luck. Usually it's in the middle. Look at what you would instinctively want to add. Like if it's a location, you want to add about where. If it's a person, it's who. Look for the change in direction. Look for however, although, despite, or for supporting evidence, like as well as. The more the, what have you. Number 2, look for pronouns. Pronouns have to match nouns. Usually pronoun matches the closest noun. And if there's no match, obviously the phrase is not from this part of the text. Okay? Don't read the whole text. Don't even bother reading the phrases before approaching the task. Try to predict what kind of grammar structure there is. Punctuation sometimes helps. So if you are familiar with English punctuation, you might look for that as well. So 2 things, yeah? Predict the grammar, and 2, use keywords and pronouns to help you make sense of the sentence. С вами был Английский без Верещагиной. Remember to always make sense. See you next time. Bye-bye.